Gi-young pointed at Sian and Jin-sung and said, "You two are very good, what if I report to the teacher as a sergeant?" Jin-sung looked scared and said, "Did I do something wrong? I just protected you, isn't it a bit bad for you to reward me like that?" Sian also said, "Help Jin-sung, this trainee warrior boy just protected your ugly face, stop your nonsense." Gi-young replied sinisterly, "Who said that? I recorded the scene just in case. With hidden camera footage I will." Before he could finish his words, Jin-sung pointed at the ground and asked, "Are you talking about these hidden cameras?" Gi-young looked at the broken camera lying on the ground and asked in surprise, "What?" Jin-sung pretended to be innocent again, saying, "Is it a camera? I thought it was some kind of decoration, I saw you bring it up here." He continued to pretend to be innocent, saying, "Sorry, I saw something stuck on the wall, I thought it was the shock absorber, I didn't think it was yours, Sergeant." Sian kicked the broken piece of the camera and said, "The camera is broken, it seems like your plan has gone up in smoke, what I want to know most now is." Sian asked, "Novice, why did you block my punch?" Jin-sung was grabbed by Sian's collar, then waved his hand and explained, "I helped you. Why do you treat me like that?" A young man standing nearby said, "Because an F rank was able to break a camera installed by an A rank, is it real strength or just luck?" Sian pulled Jin-sung by the collar and said to everyone, "You guys." Jin-sung hurriedly said to Sian, "If you want to go somewhere, you have to let me go first." The two of them walked away, leaving the bullying students with suspicious faces, wondering, what? Sian led Jin-sung away and turned around shouting, "Don't forget to whine about how low a dia is." Here's our apprentice. Hearing that, Jin-sung was also very surprised. Sian sincerely advised those students, "It's not too late, think clearly." After finishing speaking, she turned around and told Jin-sung to stop practicing. Jin-sung also replied, "Ah, okay, Sian, you really look like Senior On Sung-ho." Sian quickly protested, "Nonsense, who said I look like that pig-headed guy?" Gi-young stood watching the two of them leave behind the door, helplessly saying, "Damn it." Byun Gi-young's group of people were moody and pathetic on the rooftop. In the darkness, a scream rang out with the image of a man holding a knife approaching a woman whose hands had been severed. The sound of screaming, "Please forgive me and don't come here. Monster, you are a monster. You and I are both the same. That's not right, isn't it?" Jin-sung woke up from the nightmare. He looked at the clock and it was 6 o'clock. Jin-sung thought back to last night's dream and suddenly exclaimed, "That dream again." The morning at the school campus is quiet. Sian saw that Jin-sung's face was not good, so he asked, in turn, "Why do you look like that today, is there a problem?" Jin-sung waved his hand and smiled, "No, I'm just a little tired, but where are we going?" Sian answered Jin-sung's question, "I'm not sure, because the teacher only told the sergeant. But since it's divided into first aid classes, they're probably there." Jin-sung asked, "But why are we going out?" Sian replied, "I don't know either." Gi-young stopped in front of a building and shouted, "Team, stop." A group of people walked over shoulder to shoulder and said to Gi-young, "We're here, are you a Haeun High School student?" Another person laughed mockingly and said, "This is the first time I see the kids of Haeun High School." The top student replied, "It's not too late, is it?" Gi-young heard that and angrily approached and asked, "Who are you guys?" The brown-haired, black-shirted student on the other side said, "I'd rather see Kim Sian than you, I heard she's very beautiful and a genius." Gi-young angrily replied, "Kim Sian is the leader of my team, if you want to say something, you can tell me." The students on the other side scoffed, "Damn, is this the ranking system I've heard of before?" A male student standing next to him said, "Their military role-playing looks so funny." The guy from before continued, he said, "Tell me, who does he think he is?" Being ridiculed by the other students, Gi-young angrily shouted, "I'm a student at Haeundae Special Training High School, second year, Squad 10, 3rd Platoon. I ask again, who are you guys?" The other group still kept mocking, asking back, "Who are we?" Another girl smirked and continued, "How should we meet you, officer?" The students from other schools heard Gi-young's words and immediately asked back with a challenging look, "What, trash, who did you just say is trash?" The brown-haired student suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder, a quiet voice rang out, "Hey, don't make a fool of other schools like that." The person who spoke stood right behind, with stern and calm eyes, making the atmosphere tense. The person who placed his hand on the brown-haired student's shoulder gently said, "Sorry, our kids are a bit emotional." The words sounded conciliatory, but the majesty in the voice made the students on the other side immediately quiet down and become more reserved. The tense atmosphere quickly eased, all eyes turned to the person who had just appeared, waiting to see what would happen next. The other people in the group immediately started chatting when they saw the person who had just appeared. Some people couldn't control their admiration and whispered, "So handsome, who is he?" The whole crowd seemed fascinated by the young man's impressive appearance, not only by his handsome appearance but also by the confident and strong aura emanating from him. That student from Seo-Jeong High School raised his hand with a friendly smile, saying, "We are from Seo-Jeong High School." He said friendly, "Nice to meet you, classmate at Haeun." Gi-young pushed the student's hand away and said, "Stop acting, explain what these trash are." Another student standing behind saw this and said angrily, "This bastard." The blue-haired student quickly stopped. "Calm down, everyone." Sian came from afar and stopped Gi-young. "Lieutenant, stop." Sian continued, "Can't you see our training points are going down?" Sian turned around and said to the blue-haired guy from Seo-Jeong High School, "You guys too." The blue-haired guy recognized Sian and smiled and greeted, "Are you Kim Sian?" The blue-haired guy smiled and said, "Nice to meet you, I'm Lee Sung-hwa." Sian replied, "We came to attend the first aid class here, but why are Seo-Jeong's children here instead of their class, can you explain?" Lee Sung-hwa happily replied, "We are the first aid students you are looking for. Seong High second year first aid class, we are looking forward to today." Lee Sung-hwa continued, "We don't know why it's called a bank. We only heard about the class division with Haeun High School. I think both schools have a good relationship with this bank. Because it would be better to reveal that there is a common class between the two schools. And the bank looks pretty good too. It looks like it was reserved for us, since customers have become scarce." A security guard standing at the bank asked, "Are you guys here for an internship?" When they saw the tall and fierce bank security guard, exclamations began to ring out, "Is this the strength of security guard?" Sian walked in and introduced herself, "Hello, we are second-year students, Platoon 10, 3rd Platoon of Haeundia High School. I'm team leader Kim Sian. I'm really looking forward to today." A guard happily replied, "Very young but mature." The guard standing next to him also said, "Really?" Sian continued asking, "If there is anything that needs to be done today, please let us know." The guard mocked Sian, "I like you already, so much so that I want the bank to hire you when you grow up." Sian refused. "I would like to refuse," she thought to herself, "we're being treated like children on a field trip. They completely underestimate our fight. Anyway, there aren't too many students to work at the bank so we need more points." Sian saw Lee Sung-hwa and called out, "Sorry, Lee Sung-hwa." Sung-hwa turned around and smiled and replied, "You can call me Sung-hwa." Sian replied, "Okay, Sung-hwa. Divide the class into 4 groups and arrange them into temporary teams. We will make a good impression with the bank." The students went to the bank employee. The employee told them, "I'm not even sure if the teacher is here at this time." The bank employee enthusiastically asked the students, "Do you guys want some snacks or drinks?" The blonde in turn happily replied, "Really?" The other trainees also rushed in, "I want something." Sian saw that and said to Lee Sung-hwa, "They are quite lax, like when treating customers who are children. Both sides don't talk seriously." A trainee wearing a blue shirt asked Sian and Lee Sung-hwa, "We're going to get some coffee, do you guys want it? It's like machine brewed coffee, you can also get other drinks." Again. Hearing what her classmate said, Sian suddenly thought, there seems to be something wrong here. Everyone's voice was interested in the drink. "Really? Anything? Of course." Jin-sung stood in a corner, quietly observing the people around him relaxing, feeling the comfortable atmosphere but still keeping a little worry in his heart. Not much happened. Lee Sung-hwa suddenly stood in front of Jin-sung, smiling and said, "Hello." Jin-sung was suddenly startled and replied, "Hello." Lee Sung-hwa continued asking, "You were with Kim Sian before, right?" Jin-sung looked at Lee Sung-hwa and evaluated him, thinking, this is definitely high school student Seo-Jeong Lee Sung-hwa, how did he know he was with Kim Sian? Jin-sung looked innocent and replied, "You want me to help you ask Sian, after all, that's my specialty." Lee Sung-hwa quickly waved his hand and explained, "No, it's not like that." Jin-sung took out his empty pocket and said to Lee Sung-hwa, "Or you want me to buy bread, but I didn't bring any money today." Lee Sung-hwa replied in surprise, "No, I don't need bread." Jin-sung continued asking, "It's not bread, so what is it?" Lee Sung-hwa said, "I happen to be interested in you." Lee Sung-hwa smiled and asked Jin-sung, "Do you want something to drink?" Lee Sung-hwa pointed towards the vending machine and said, "There's a vending machine over there." Jin-sung sighed and replied, "Yeah, okay." Jin-sung wondered if he needed to report to the sergeant or squad leader, but also felt that it probably wasn't necessary. Jin-sung went to the vending machine, bought a can of water, and after drinking it, exclaimed, "It's so cold." Lee Sung-hwa saw this and smiled and replied, "Jin-sung, you seem so carefree, are you a hidden master of Haeun High School or something?" Hearing Lee Sung-hwa say that, Jin-sung choked on his water and smiled and replied, "I just pretended to be carefree." Lee Sung-hwa thought to himself, he stands alone with his classmates and doesn't seem to get along, but why is he so carefree? Jinsung smiled carelessly and replied, "That's my life motto." Lee Seung-hwa replied, "Really? So cool. What level are your comprehensive fighting skill?" Jinsung calmly replied, "Level F." Lee Seung-hwa asked in surprise, "Ha, are you lying?" Jinsung continued, "My idea is also F rank champion." Lee Seung-hwa asked again, "Are you teasing me?" Jinsung replied, "No, why would I lie?" Lee Seung-hwa became even more suspicious and thought it was even more strange. "Why is he so carefree?" Jinsung asked, "What do you want to say?" He saw Jinsung dodging water into the trash can and asked in surprise, "Can you throw a can of water into the trash can from such a distance? How did you do that? It's so great." Jinsung also replied in surprise, "I just threw the can." Lee Seung-hwa was still admiring, saying, "That's amazing." Lee Seung-hwa stood nearby, smiled and said, "Okay, I'll try it too." Jinsung stood next to him, smiling and cheering, "Okay, fighting." Lee Seung-hwa threw the can but missed it, not hitting the trash can. Jinsung saw that and said, "You don't have very good reflexes either." Lee Seung-hwa picked up the can and said, "I'm weak at fighting, that's why I chose the emergency route." "But Jinsung, you said you were F level. How can a pressure level survive in a combat class?" Jinsung innocently said, "I was carried by Kim Seon and got lucky." He asked Lee Seung-hwa again, "What is your idea?" Lee Seung-hwa hesitantly replied, I'm. System notification, hands become mirrors, idea level C+, comprehensive combat skill C, can transform hands into sword. Jinsung looked at Seung-hwa's arm that turned into a sword, got interested and asked, "Your idea is so good, isn't it? There's a lot of potential for development." Lee Seung-hwa seemed sad and replied, "I've heard those words all the time, but my idea has never leveled up once." Jinsung asked Lee Seung-hwa, "You want to transfer to the combat class so you're curious about how I survive?" Lee Seung-hwa shyly replied, Yes. Jinsung began to thoughtfully say, "First aid is much better, you can save people, I think that's much better than an idea who only knows how to fight." Lee Seung-hwa scratched his head and confirmed, "Really?" Jinsung smiled and said, "Of course, be more confident and carefree." Hearing encouragement from Jinsung, Lee Seung-hwa felt jealous. He thought that if his idea could save people, it would be a good thing. Jinsung walked away and said to Lee Seung-hwa, "Let's go back." In front of the bank, Haeun High School's teacher walked over and said, "Sorry for being late, I was stuck in an important meeting." A brown-haired man wearing a long coat also spoke up. The children went in first. Then he held out a piece of paper and asked Haeun High School teacher, "Can you grade them now?" Haeun School teacher asked in surprise, "But I haven't seen anything yet." The brown-haired teacher wearing a long coat replied, "It's okay, just give it a go." The brown-haired teacher wearing a long coat continued, "Give high marks to normal kids with good abilities. Anyway, they won't learn anything in the bank, it's just a formal training session." The Haeun School teacher happily replied, "I've learned a lot from you." The brown-haired teacher smiled and replied, "Fortunately, you are a cheerful person." Having finished speaking, the teacher picked up his pen and began grading. In less than a minute, he finished the job. He turned to the teachers next to him and said, "The grading is over, let's go have coffee." The brown-haired teacher said, "I know how to make this coffee very well." Haeun School teacher replied, "Then I will listen to you." The brown-haired teacher praised, "I know Haeun School teachers will be very happy." Returning to the bank, the male friend said, "Sergeant, if you lose, buy a drink." The blonde girl agreed, "Okay, let's play." The two said together, "Rock, paper, scissors." Lee Dong-hoon suddenly saw something and said to two people playing rock, paper, scissors, "Hey, someone is coming." The blonde girl lost, so the male friend proudly said, "What should I drink?" Everyone was surprised to see a group of people wearing military uniforms entering the bank. They started whispering, "Look at that outfit, is it a group cosplay? What kind of clothes is that?" The security guard saw this and quickly ran over and said, "Damn. The students, stay away." The two students standing guard at the door still didn't understand anything. The security guard ran to block a blow from the black-shirted men. System notification, the nunchaku is getting harder and harder, idea level C, comprehensive combat skill B, with each impact it gets harder. The security guard fought and shouted at the students to run towards the back door. The interns looked at the scene before their eyes in surprise and asked each other, "What's going on?" A student standing next to him, his face pale, said, "Monster, is this a training lesson?" The assassin looked at them with murderous eyes and warned, "It's useless." Seeing that the children still refused to run away, the security guard shouted, "What are you doing? Run." The group of assassins finished dealing with the guard and said, "See you later, Comrade Korea." The stranger's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He spoke, "Comrades, please allow me permission." The bank's security team asked in panic, "Who are you?" The murderer did not answer the security guard's question but showed disdain, saying, "Comrade, you seem strong, can you make me happier than the previous comrade?" The crowd was confused, whispering, "What's with that voice? Isn't it a North Korean voice? Are you a North Korean spy?" The assassin replied, "I just came here to beg for a bit." He threw the black bag on the ground and threatened, "If you don't want your head cut off, fill this bag quickly." His threat made the security guard so angry that he pursed his lips. The security guard ordered, "Everyone get into position." As soon as the command was shouted, the bodyguards lined up in a line, preparing to attack. The bored stranger asked again, "Comrades, didn't you hear me tell you to fill the bag, while I was still calling you? Be obedient." The security guard shouted, "Shut up, you bank robber bastard." The robber smirked and said, "Oh my God, I wonder if my Korean comrades are hard of hearing or have blurred vision." The robber said, "You weak bastards, why do you keep rushing at me like a moth to a flame?" Kim Se-in stood behind silently worried. "We are not his opponents, his energy is much greater than that of normal people." Kim Se-in was worried, like he said, "We're just like moths to a fire." While the bodyguards were still resisting with all their might, they shouted, "Stop his sword and press him, stop him, there are students behind us." Kim Se-in didn't want them to die in vain, she rushed up and shouted, "Back off." But the stranger was quicker, slashing his sword hard and saying, "Comrades, you are blocking my way, get out of the way." Seeing the scene before her eyes, Kim Se-in felt numb. The bodyguard team from earlier all fell to the ground, blood flowing all over the floor. Dong-hu trembled in fear and confirmed, "Are they dead?" Se-in still stood there blankly, thinking, he took down a B-level defensive idea with just one hit. This is a pretty strong idea, but his attack passed through it easily. The robber frowned, shook his head in frustration and said, "Is that all? You guys are too obsessed with peace." He continued contemptuously, "It's fine to use useless guards like that." Kim Se-in quietly assessed him and thought, his comprehensive combat skills must be at least A level. Suddenly, she shouted, "Everyone, straighten up." Hearing Se-in's words, the students quickly stood up and ran away. Se-in continued to urge, "Everyone, run to the table." The robber calmly stood and watched the group of students running away. He said, "Are all of these comrades planning to become bank employees? Should I pull out the waiting slip from the machine?" Kim Se-in hurriedly said, "Everyone, summon a dia now from now on, sergeants, command your team." From somewhere, a gust of wind blew into the room, causing documents to fly everywhere. The robber smiled in a friendly manner and said, "Can I have some money?" The students held their heads in fear, exclaiming, "Why did this happen?" Kim Se-in quickly reassured, "Don't lose your will, just hold on until the police or teachers find us." The robber kicked the empty bag on the ground and continued, "Koreans shouldn't be so cold to each other, shouldn't we help each other?" Kim Se-in's eyes showed worry. She thought to herself, "What should I do? I'm not sure if I can fight him alone." Se-in looked at the robbers behind him, feeling their power and threat. She realized that they were all very dangerous and difficult to deal with. The robber continued to say in a mocking voice, "Our pockets are a bit empty, so we want to get some help. Are all South Korean banks that cold towards customer?" The robber asked Se-in, "What's your name, comrade? You seem to be a brave comrade." Kim Se-in immediately said her name, "I'm Kim Se-in." The robber sneered, "So brave, you didn't answer my question, did you? What do you think I have to do to get money from the bank employees?" Kim Se-in quietly assessed the situation, determined to buy time even just a little. Se-in thought for a moment and then spoke, "Based on your clothes, it seems like you are not professional bank robbers. Are you a group of people escaping from North Korea?" Se-in continued, "Your goal is not just for money, right?" The robber smiled sinisterly, "You guys keep spying on this and that, I guess I should introduce myself first." Kim Se-in froze, full of doubt. She thought to herself, how dare a criminal reveal his identity? The robber confidently said, "I don't know if you guys have heard of us. We are the Great Disaster Army." Kim Se-in seemed stunned. "Peste. Unknown location, unknown history, unknown costume, no race, no class, no rank, a terrorist gang operating against humanity worldwide. Wherever they went, not even a single ant survived. They are a ruthless gang whose only characteristic is that there is no one left alive. Peste." Those present were all excited. "Peste, do they also have people in North Korea?" The robber said angrily, "I said we are a Great Disaster Army. Why do you call me Peste? These Korean comrades are too Europeanized. Anyway, if you understand, then give me the money, this." The scared crowd rushed forward to grab the bag, quickly stuffed the money in and said, "Go, we just need to give it all to him and that's it." If we do that, she started to move, but her movement suddenly stopped when someone stopped her. The robber smiled and said, "What a surprise." Se-in now summoned her idea, a horn slowly growing in front of her forehead. She spoke up, everyone, calm down. He never said he wouldn't hurt us after we gave him money, Sian said, trying to keep everyone awake. The robber smirked and said, that horn, that hair, I understand. Kim Sian waved her hand and said, it seems you know my family, then it's easy, let's fight. Kim Sian was worried in her heart. She knew that if the robber's soldiers also rushed in, all hope would be lost. She had to trick him into a duel, because he seemed to be the leader. The robber, as if reading her thoughts, smiled evilly and said, okay, you're smart, I'm sure you're thinking if I've been fooled by you. Kim Sian responded, I'm just a student, you won't agree with me, right? The robber snapped his fingers and said, okay, I like the courage, but it's not surprising. That guy smiled, if you come from that crazy goblin family, you must be crazy too, right? Kim Sian smiled and interrupted, you've talked too much, so are you going to fight me, terrorist? The robber nodded and smiled softly, really cute. Okay, I'll accept that challenge, goblin. The robber challenged, come on, girl. Kim Sian was not weak at all, she replied, do you dare let me attack first, you must be very confident. She breathed a sigh of relief in her heart, fortunately her challenging move worked. He will not be able to keep his word in front of his subordinates, if I defeat him, I can survive. I must win to survive. She raised her hand to search the back of her head. Suddenly her whole body froze, she realized where her sword was, then she thought again, I put it down while resting. Kim Sian was blaming herself for breaking that bad habit at this moment when the robber from the other side approached and asked, girl, where are you looking? The robber smirked, if you don't attack, I'll go first. As he spoke, he quickly swung his sword towards Kim Sian. Kim Sian quickly dodged, jumping to the side to avoid the quick and powerful slash from the robber. The opponent's sword caused the wall to crack, creating a large crack and spewing debris. Kim Sian's sweat dropped, if I was hit just once, but, thanks to that hit, I have something to use. Thinking about it, she picked up the broken concrete slab as her weapon, attacked the robber from behind. Of course he also discovered this action. He turned around and slashed the piece of concrete, challenging, sneak attack, where's your courage just now? Seeing that she was at a disadvantage, Kim Sian exclaimed even more loudly, damn. The robber then proudly flew around, mocking, so you must be an elf and not a flying squirrel. Kim Sian continuously avoided the robber's fatal sword slashes, cold sweat broke out all over her body. Everyone stood to one side watching the battle through the surveillance screen, admiring, she's fighting with the leader. Kim Sian is so great. Kim Sian's expression of determination makes everyone more and more confident. They competed to shout loudly, Kim Sian, Kim Sian. At the same time, inside the office, under a table, Jin-sung was also watching the match. Jin-sung felt worried as the situation outside became increasingly tense. He thought, now is not the time to just stand by and watch her cheer. What should I do? Lee Sung-hwa didn't understand at all but was still excited. I know why he's famous. He's fighting with the leader of Peste. Jin-sung quickly interrupted. Lee Sung-hwa, the situation is completely unequal. Jin-sung urgently, we have to run now. Lee Sung-hwa was confused. Run now, but which way? Jin-sung looked up at the ventilation duct and said, now's the best time to go up there, the bathroom, the cupboard under the table, anywhere that makes them hard to find. We have to last as long as possible. The fight between Sian and the robber is still very tense, and it seems that Sian is gradually falling into a weak position. She continuously endured the attacks, her body flying backwards after each powerful slash from the robber. The bandit Peste kept approaching, each of his slashes aimed at Kim Sian's weak point, creating increasingly serious injury. He said coldly, it's time to end this cat and mouse game, what do you think? Everyone watching nearby was excited. Did Kim Sian lose? Is there anyone stronger than Kim Sian among us? Are we finished? The robber pointed his sword and challenged, is that all? Kim Sian struggled to respond, maybe so, why don't you check on me? Peste smiled sinisterly, even at the end, she was still a troublesome woman. Just as he was about to end Kim Sian's life, Jin-sung's scream rang out from behind, everyone spread out. I'm running. As he spoke, he grabbed Lee Sung-hwa's shirt and rushed away. Other people seemed to be motivated and ran away. Everyone shouted to each other, if we are caught, we will die, run away. The guy in the Peste group scratched his head and said, so they made a quick decision. He asked his teammates, what do you think, comrades? A subordinate stepped forward and asked, what are your orders? This guy immediately replied, arrest all the comrades of that rat bastard. Immediately the group accepted the mission. They split up to act. The leader Peste seemed very confident, let's just consider that person as a special case. But those stupid South Koreans still didn't move, while this goblin stalled for time. Where would she run to? They will eventually be caught. Kim Sian was extremely worried, she thought he ordered his people to arrest them, so wasn't he going to kill them? Then I can buy a little more time. Seeing that she could still stand up, Peste smiled and said, I like your toughness, you have proven that you are more useful than I thought. The robber suggested, so, want to join me? Kim Seon was surprised and quickly refused. What's going on? No way. Peste still hasn't given up. You should think more carefully. Women line up just to go with me. Kim Seon waved her hand indifferently. How can I believe a terrorist robbing a bank without any evidence? The leader Peste replied, I forgot to introduce myself. I am Kim Il-young, the son of North Korea. Kim Seon's face darkened. She exclaimed, Kim Il-young. Kim Il-young, North Korea's greatest leader, North Korea's greatest politician, and North Korea's greatest military commander. The one with the strongest idea in North Korea, a true monster. With those titles, Kim Il-young continued, I have a lot to worry about when I become the son at such a young age. I need a talented wife by my side. Kim Seon was extremely confused. She thought to herself, no way, why would Kim Il-young come to a meeting like this by himself? The other person did not notice her shyness and continued to say, girl, why did you suddenly step back? This is why I usually don't reveal my name. Kim Seon suddenly burst out laughing. Can't Kim Il-young exchange for a reward? There must be a lot because he's a world-famous criminal. I can buy tteokbokki for my friend with that prize money. Kim Il-young also laughed. In this situation, you're still brave. Having said that, he looked at her with sinister eyes, thinking, so this is the reason they don't want me to come here myself, isn't this what they are aiming for? The order to rob a bank had students inside, so wasn't it meant to exploit those students? Coming here really wasn't in vain. Kim Il-young continued to entice, the winner has been decided, so shouldn't you be obedient while I enjoy you? After backing away for a while, Kim Seon reached for her sword. She quickly took the initiative. It was surprising that the winner was decided so early. I almost died trying to jump here. She held the sword in her hand and said, I still have a lot to learn. But to use my idea properly, I need a sword. Having said that, she slowly pulled out her sword. On the other hand, the students were still trying to run away. Kim Il-young's subordinates were dispatched and quickly caught up with the fleeing students. Despite their resistance, these people still dragged them away. The students were quickly gathered at one point. At a men's restroom. Jin-sung and Lee Sung-hwa hid in one of the rooms there. Jin-sung looked around and commented, it must be because this is a bank that it is so clean. Lee Sung-hwa worriedly asked Jin-sung, should we go higher? This is only the 5th floor, and the other children are going higher. Jin-sung reassured, it'll be okay, calm down. Jin-sung smiled happily and said to Sung-hwa, now just breathe. Jin-sung's attitude made Lee Sung-hwa worried, are you okay? Jin-sung casually waved his hand, Lee Sung-hwa became worried and thought, if we get caught, we might end up like those guards. Yet he still looked completely fine. Sung-hwa sadly shook his head, nothing. Anyway, if we stay here, there's no telling when we'll be caught. Don't you think we should quickly run away? Going higher might be a better option. Sung-hwa pulled Jin-sung's hand, wanting him to run away with him, but Jin-sung's expression turned gloomy. He thought to himself. If it was Kim Seon, she would have resisted for a while, but would have been caught in the end. He seemed to think of something, then brushed away Lee Sung-hwa's hand. There's no point in running away. We have to fight them. Lee Sung-hwa was stunned. What? Don't you see those guards over there? Even trained adults are no match for them. What do you think C and F class guys like us can do? Jin-sung immediately interrupted Lee Sung-hwa. What do you think about A-level souls? Lee Sung-hwa was confused. What are you suddenly saying? Jin-sung continued to explain, I overheard earlier that Kim Seon's fighting ability used to be D-level when she was young, but now she's gotten to A-level. Don't you think that a D cannot be the ultimate standard to judge people? There's nothing to be sad about your rank. At the same time, Peste and the others had arrived at the 5th floor. Lee Sung-hwa, stunned and sweating, asked Jin-sung, what is the reason you said those things at this time? The footsteps of Peste's group are getting closer and closer, out there. Lee Sung-hwa panicked, I think they've gotten here. What should we do now? We have to hide. Jin-sung reassured Lee Sung-hwa, you've got a good idea, much better than mine. If you put your effort into it, you'll be able to add all kinds of wonderful improvements. While he was speaking, the footsteps of the person outside had approached the men's restroom. Lee Sung-hwa quickly signaled Jin-sung to be quiet. They will find us if we don't stay quiet. Jin-sung still didn't give up. Lee Sung-hwa, listen. His serious voice startled Lee Sung-hwa. What's wrong? Jin-sung continued, just trust me and do what I say from now on. The sound of the room door opening rang out. Several Peste guys came in and threatened, we heard you, leave now. The leader doesn't like slow kids. Just as he finished speaking, Jin-sung stuck his head out and smiled, your handwriting is really good, can you teach me how to say it? Peste seemed annoyed and cursed, "Bastard, don't joke around, the leader will sympathize if your legs or arms disappear during the capture process." Jinsung continued to tease, "Now that your leader is gone, you talk a lot, that's great." Saying that, he summoned his idea, "Go, dagger." At the same time, without any fear, he pointed the knife straight at the enemy. That guy looked contemptuously, "What is that? Are you going to tell me that something like that is your soul's essence? Don't talk nonsense, just be quiet." Accept being arrested. As soon as he finished speaking, in the blink of an eye, he approached Jinsung. System notification, Peste's idea rank, legs accelerate from 0 to 100 in 1 second, idea rank, B, overall combat ability, B, once you start running, you will accelerate from 0 to 100 within 1 second. Jinsung did not panic and told Lee Seung-hwa, "You have to run like I said before, okay?" Peste thought that Jinsung and Lee Seung-hwa were planning to run away. He threatened, "Where are you going? I will have to arrest both of you." Jinsung's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Absolute assassination mode was established. Absolute murder, idea rank S, overall combat ability S, body's abilities will increase 3 times normal. Thanks to that, he can feel the opponent's actions more clearly. In Jinsung's eyes, Idea's speed just seemed to be in slow motion. He easily dodged, and at the same time did not forget to mock his opponent for being too slow. His provocation also made him extremely uncomfortable. But before he could react, Jinsung made a move, cutting a line across his waist. His blade pierced his armor. He even seemed extremely cheerful, mocking, "Sorry, very sorry." Soon, Peste was defeated and collapsed to the floor. He exclaimed, "You are a crazy bastard." Jinsung smiled coldly. He grabbed his body and stood up. Jinsung scoffed, "Maybe accelerating from 0 to 100 in 1 second would be very convenient." These words made Peste extremely surprised and frightened. He stammered, How did you see my soul's name?" His attitude excited Jinsung. He smirked and asked, "What if I cut off your Achilles tendon? What happens if what you need to activate your idea is destroyed?" Jinsung continued to provoke. "Maybe your rank will drop," Jinsung continued to taunt. "Should I crash here? There are so many possibilities, I can't choose." Lee Seung-hwa stood next to him, witnessed this whole scene, and trembled and called Jinsung. Jinsung's crazy appearance was deeply imprinted in his subconscious. Seung-hwa suddenly stepped back. Jinsung also seemed to feel that, smiling with a manly look and asking again, "Why did you call me, Seung-hwa?" "What's wrong, Lee Seung-hwa, why did you call me, ha, ha?" Lee Seung-hwa kept shaking. He tried to move forward, telling Jinsung, "Stop and run, okay?" Jinsung laughed, "You are wrong, who do you think is the person who needs to run now?" Jinsung lifted the barely alive Peste up and asked Seung-hwa with a cold face, "Answer." Lee Seung-hwa trembled even more intensely. He was extremely scared right now, but once Jinsung activates Idea, he will become a bloodthirsty demon. Only by destroying Idea or killing the opponent can its effect end. Seung-hwa's frightened appearance made Jinsung's eyes gradually regain vitality. He seemed to be in a coma about something. Suddenly, Jinsung bewilderedly called Lee Seung-hwa's name. A crazy headache struck, causing Jinsung to hold his head, scream and ask Lee Seung-hwa to leave. Jinsung accordingly returned to his normal state. The eyeglasses fell to the ground. He seemed to be trying to fight some dark force in his body, while also trying to remind Seung-hwa to leave quickly. "Run quickly, Lee Seung-hwa. Once the hand turns into a knife, that means the body has become a solid sword, it can write." Lee Seung-hwa's eyes became sad. He turned around and ran away quickly. As he ran, he shouted loudly, "I'm sorry for having to run first." Jinsung was still in a coma. He muttered, "That's not enough it's really." When Peste heard that, he was annoyed and asked Jinsung, "Are you insane?" Jinsung seemed to have turned into a different person at this moment. He coldly said, "You're not happy at all, I'll have 13 rounds." The opponent was stunned, thinking, "I didn't expect a bastard to hide his strength in a situation like this. I need to notify the leader somehow." Jinsung ended his life and then muttered, "I don't know either." In the main hall, after getting the sword, Kim Seon became more confident and finally understood. Kim Il-young didn't show any fear. He seemed to enjoy teasing Seon, saying that a beautiful sword combined with a beautiful face. Kim Seon smirked, "You'll change your mind when I hit you with it, right?" Kim Il-young smiled, "So you think you can face me now?" Having finished speaking, he ran towards Seon and began to attack. Kim Seon used her sword to defend. With a weapon in her hand, she can withstand a lot of strength. After a while, she spoke up, not knowing. Kim Il-young was a bit surprised. "What's wrong? Did you just deflect my soul sword? Does your sword possess divine energy?" Kim Seon looked mysterious. "How do I know anything about your idea? Do you think that ridiculous attack of yours was not due to your strength but due to Adia's influence? Kim Il-young stared at the sword in her hand, thinking that she should slash along the sword if it was difficult to use. That sword is actually likely to be the weak point of his soul sword, he muttered. That's a rather strange sword. Kim Si-in continued, everyone said that I was likely to have a family treasure stolen because of rumors about this sword. This sword was created to confront the strong, with 4 tiger slayers and constellations on it. It is likened to the storage of the power of the stars, and is based on the user's abilities, can crush a dia at even A level. The important thing is that I can fuse with this sword. Si-in uses the technique of creating copies with the same physical attack power, jumping up and using goblin swordsmanship to attack the opponent. Upon seeing that, Kim Il-young was excited. You are truly a special person, do you really not want to be on my side? Kim Si-in's incarnations spoke up one after another, my family may be impatient, but I absolutely will not accept a bastard like you. Kim Il-young raised his sword with the intention of finishing her off, saying, it would be quite a shame to kill you like this, what a waste, but I can't. Let's play with you some more. His slash stopped Kim Si-in's attack. She stepped back to defend, at the same time, illusions also disappear. Taking advantage of this moment, the leader Peste continued to attack. He cursed, woman, you don't feel scared now, do you? The current situation seems like Kim Si-in is completely overwhelmed. Kim Il-young realized that, so he became even more excited. Kim Si-in is still not discouraged. She used the goblin sword technique again, multiplying the clones once more. Try to block it again, however, she could not resist for long. Those attacks made Kim Si-in's sword feel like it was about to fly out. She thought he swung his sword very fast and heavy. But if I attack while he's blocking the clone's attack, in that case, all of Kim Si-in's intentions had to stop when the opponent's attack became stronger and stronger. Kim Il-young laughed, I'm really married to you. Kim Si-in kept panting, thinking, damn, he's better than me in frontal attack. It hurts my ego, but I'll play along and buy time with illusion. Seeing that she didn't say anything, Kim Il-young spoke up, aren't you thinking that you can catch up with my abilities? Don't you think that my skills are enough for you to consider joining my side? Kim Si-in shook her head, it's still not enough. She was determined to hold him off as long as possible. On the other student's side, the situation was not so smooth. One by one, everyone was captured by the Peste gang and dragged to a concentration room. Seeing that the students were all arrested, Kim Si-in was worried, have they arrested some of them already? Why did they come in from outside? With chaos like this, there are usually police or military surrounding, they can't act because there are hostages. Kim Il-young glanced at his subordinates and students and said, comrades, don't you guys go up the back stairs, why did you bring in northern comrades from outside? The subordinate immediately reported seriously, sir, we have divided into 2 groups, those bastards from the north rushed in through the window in the corner. While the rest wait outside to catch the guys jumping through the window. Those who haven't returned are now going upstairs to check to see if there are any remaining northerners. Kim Si-in exclaimed in panic, wait, why did they go out first to wait? She worriedly thought to herself, so that means it's just these people. The police did not act even when they tried to be careful, she felt this was strange, as if there was something wrong here. Kim Il-young laughed and said, I think I can guess what you're thinking through your expression. Are you wondering why no aid is coming? If that's the case, Elias has already isolated this area with his demon sword. Kim Si-in's face turned pale, isolation. Kim Il-young proudly continued, we cannot create a disaster without preparation, this bank looks fine from the outside. No one will pay attention to the situation inside. Kim Si-in became more and more desperate, doesn't anyone know what's happening to us? I thought all I had to do was hold off until the police arrived, but if there isn't even a report, how are we going to get out of here? If I come back, he'll kill me, them. But the time I have on my own is limited, I don't know what to do. Kim Il-young, as if enjoying seeing her in despair, asked, girl, what happened? What happened to your energy just now? While Kim Il-young was talking, on the side of the arrested people, there was a young man quietly observing them. He noticed the guard looking away. Immediately, he used his skill to accelerate. That guy was about to run to ring the alarm bell and thought, I can't sit still. The emergency button is here. The young man took the phone and reported the danger, alarm, alarm, the bank has been occupied. Terrorists have broken into here. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. But what he got in response was silent. Kim Il-young's voice rang out, comrade banker. The young man was so scared that he was sweating and looked over. Kim Il-young smiled coldly and said, didn't you hear what I said just now? I said that we have an Adia who specializes in stealth, comrade, that means the phone and call button under the seat won't work. The others took out their phones and shouted at the same time, yes, so this is why it didn't work just now. The young man was scared. Why would Kim Il-young rob a private bank in broad daylight? Kim Il-young calmly said, "Comrade, are you downplaying your work? Every job is important, it is the core of great communism." The young employee challenged, "If the army knows you're here, you won't be alive." Kim Il-young laughed mockingly, "Lee Sin, that old guy. Yeah, South Korea really has that old guy." As he spoke, he smiled savagely, terrifying the bank employee. Then, he pointed his sword at the employee. "Do you understand now why you need to be taught a proper lesson, comrade?" The moment he was about to slaughter people, Kim Seon promptly stopped him. "Stop, that Korean monster." Kim Il-young was startled. "Did you just say North Korean monster?" He burst out laughing. "Oh my god," Kim Seon continued, "go ahead and hit me. Let him go." Kim Il-young responded while looking down at the bank employee who was secretly crawling away, then said, "You call me by that name, but do you know its meaning? You called wrongly." "So how do you know?" he said, and then casually slashed a sword at the employee with an indifferent expression. The blood splatter made Kim Seon panic. He continued to say, "If you knew, you would never call me Kim Il-young by that name, right?" The young man's voice rang out in pain. "My leg. No, let me go." Even though he begged, Kim Il-young still did not stop his barbaric action. Kim Seon pursed her lips helplessly. The skill gap was too great. She could buy time but couldn't protect others. Thinking of this, she tightly grasped the sword in her hand. Kim Il-young, with the sword still stained with blood, brought it in front of Seon and said, "Because you want me to beat you, I will cut off all your arms and legs and carry you in a bag. You should feel honored." Suddenly, the door to the room opened. The crowd immediately turned to look towards the door. Lee Sung-hwa put his hands on his head and said as he walked in, "I don't want this kind of attention." Kim Il-young questioned, "Who are you, comrade?" Lee Sung-hwa forced a smile to greet. When his subordinates tried to arrest him, Kim Il-young stopped him. Lee Sung-hwa took this opportunity to look around. He couldn't help but sweat and thought, Jinsung like this is more than chaotic. Blood stains on the floor were everywhere. Before, when the two were still in the bathroom, Jinsung warned, "It's going to be chaos down there now. As soon as I activate a dia, run down to the first floor and tell them that I'm up here." Hearing that, Lee Sung-hwa confirmed in horror, going down, what about you?" Jinsung smiled calmly. "I said trust me, I trust you, Lee Sung-hwa." After remembering Jinsung's words, Lee Sung-hwa also became confused at this moment. Kim Il-young interrupted Sung-hwa's thoughts by asking, "Comrade South Korea, introduce yourself." Lee Sung-hwa forced a smile. "I'm a second-year student at Seo-jung High School, Lee Sung-hwa. The money you want is on the 5th floor." Kim Il-young was surprised. "Is the safe in such a strange place?" Lee Sung-hwa explained, "My friend left it there." Kim Il-young's expression quickly changed. "Your friend, comrade?" His angry words scared the subordinates next to him. Kim Il-young's voice became cold. "Now I see, why haven't the comrades who went upstairs to search come back yet? Comrades, a South Korean is still walking around and you guys are still standing here frozen." The crowd quickly knelt down and begged their comrades in command. "I'll go check right away. Please give me another chance," the person begged. Kim Il-young stabbed the sword straight into the ground, then reached out and patted his opponent's shoulder. "Since my hands are stuck, I'll give you another chance," Kim Il-young ordered. "The money is in the safe and the kid is upstairs, take it all down." Immediately, the subordinate stood up, seriously raised his hand in salute and shouted loudly, "Thank you, comrade commander." Kim Il-young turned and continued, "Everyone else go too, I won't accept anything else. Also, comrade South Korea from upstairs. Do you want to come here yourself or let Kim Il-young come to you?" Lee Sung-hwa forced a smile. "I'm here." Kim Il-young nodded. "Smart boy, I like you. While those comrades captured your friend, I got a little bored, let's have some fun. Comrade South Korea, see that goblin girl? If you can bring her arms and legs here, I will spare that comrade's life. Can you do it? Whoever brings one of her arms and 2 legs to me, I will spare that comrade's life." As soon as the voice ended, everyone's eyes immediately turned to Kim Seon. They seemed to have forgotten her efforts to protect everyone earlier. Cowardice and fear had eroded her will. A girl spoke up, "Can we fight Kim Seon?" That voice made Kim Il-young smile. He quietly listened to them fight. As soon as the girl's voice rang out, another person interrupted, "That's not what you should say, are you crazy? From the beginning, she has always fought for us." The girl still wanted to object, but at this point, the winner had already been decided. Someone must live. "Aren't there clocks around here? I have to count the time myself, I'm tired of waiting." Just a few minutes later, the crowd stood up and said loudly, "There is no other choice. Kim Seon's family is very powerful, so they will give her an easy life, even without arms or legs." Seeing this group of people becoming more and more miserable, Kim Se-in's mood dropped. While she didn't know what to do, suddenly there was a voice calling, "Kim Se-in." She avoided Lee Seung-hwa's eyes and asked, "What?" Lee Seung-hwa whispered into Kim Se-in's ear, "Don't worry too much, you just have to endure a little more." Kim Se-in was startled and surprised. "What?" Only then did she realize something was wrong. She wondered, how could he have come here on his own without being detected, and why did he come here instead of hiding? Thinking about it, she adjusted her state and turned to blame. "You should have run away, you just added hostages to make the situation more complicated." Lee Seung-hwa smiled, "I came to help." "Isn't it the right time?" Lee Seung-hwa said, glancing at the people she had just saved, who were now betraying her. She was thoughtful and moved. Lee Seung-hwa suddenly said, "Kim Se-in, I have decided to become close friends with Jin-sung from now on." Kim Se-in asked confusedly, "What the hell are you talking about?" Kim Il-young's smashing sound interrupted the two people's conversation. He looked bored and asked, "South Korean comrades, if you keep dragging on, I won't let anyone survive." That threat made the crowd become impatient, intending to attack Se-in. They kept saying, "Sorry, I'm so sorry, Kim Se-in. But there's no other way, Kim Il-young is scary." Kim Il-young smiled and said, "Handsome comrade over there, are you on her side?" Lee Seung-hwa scratched his head and hesitantly replied, "I think so." Kim Il-young smiled crookedly and nodded, "Not bad. Then I will add an arm or leg to you in exchange for the lives of as many comrades. Now 10 people can survive." Lee Seung-hwa was not afraid but looked surprised. "This is crazy, Kim Se-in, you will protect us, right?" Seo-in did not answer but turned to call Kim Il-young. "Hey, North Korean puppet." Kim Il-young's face immediately showed frustration. "You woman, do you have to use that word?" Kim Se-in waved his hand. "If I kill everyone here, what will happen, then? Will you let Lee Seung-hwa live? You have to make a choice so we can get out of here alive." Kim Il-young laughed heartily. "That's interesting. Okay, if you do that I won't let you die." Receiving a satisfactory answer, Kim Se-in held the sword and began the fight. The other group of people knew they couldn't fight back, so they stood close together and trembled. One of them said, "Wait," Kim Se-in coldly replied, "There's no other way, right?" The other person trembled and looked towards Kim Il-young. Kim Il-young smiled triumphantly and said, "What are you standing there for, your arms and legs or your neck? Choose." The woman pursed her lips, put aside her shame and blamed Kim Se-in. "In this situation, shouldn't you listen to the choice of letting the majority live? Are you really going to kill all of us and only let 2 people get out of here alive?" That statement made Kim Se-in angry. She didn't respond but used elven swordsmanship instead of answering. Immediately, 3 clones simultaneously attacked the group of ungrateful people. The orange-haired girl quickly came up with the move Definite Kill Glove. As soon as Kim Se-in approached, she shouted, "Sergeant, Private, fight with all your might." The other person became panicked, not understanding anything, and asked again, "What?" She raised her hand to defend. The gloves and sword collided. After a while, Se-in's illusion disappeared. The other girl was bewildered and asked, "Does Kim Se-in's illusion have its own attack?" Before she could recover, Kim Se-in continued to kick her in the stomach. While the two were at a close distance, Kim Se-in took the opportunity to say something to her. At this distance, Kim Il-young certainly couldn't detect it. After hearing Kim Se-in's words, the girl's eyes showed surprise. Just a few seconds later, she was knocked to the ground by Kim Se-in. The group of people rushed over and asked worriedly, "Sergeant, are you okay?" One of the students spoke up, "She's really strong. But don't you see, her copy illusion just disappeared, she must be tired, right? But isn't the loser next to her easier to defeat?" Their words made Kim Se-in angry. She turned around and reminded Lee Seung-hwa, "Back off." He quickly listened and followed. Kim Il-young stood to the side watching, then excitedly said, "So entertaining, really excited. Hit yourself. Kill yourself." As he spoke, he smiled happily. Suddenly, a can flew from nowhere, causing this guy to stop and pay attention. He showed a murderous expression, then looked towards the door, angrily exclaiming, "What the hell?" The door from earlier opened slightly. On the side of the stairs, there was a shadow of a person walking down, getting closer and closer. A smile like a devil appeared. Kim Ji-young bent down to pick up the can. He looked uncomfortable and asked, "What is this?" Lee Seung-hwa seemed to realize this. He covered his mouth in panic. Kim Il-young couldn't stand it anymore, threw the can towards the door and shouted, "I asked what this was." It wasn't until he saw a figure looming behind the door that his emotions calmed down. He said, "I was too excited. The comrade who just came down here seems to be the person you were talking about. First I will cut off an arm." Before he could finish his sentence, something was thrown at his face. This guy was angry and cursed, "That bastard. Are you throwing it out to tell me to stop? You think throwing this out will make Kim Il-young? While speaking, he stopped. At this moment, he realized that the things that had just fallen on him were from comrades of the Great Disaster Army. At the same time, there was a chuckle behind the door. Kim Il-young's face turned black. He exclaimed, "What exactly is this situation?" Kim Il-young was angry, preparing to attack. "Are you going to look down on this, Kim Il-young?" Then he slashed wildly towards the door. A tornado also formed accordingly. Its aftershocks made the ceiling feel like it was about to crack. The rest of the crowd held their heads in fear. Kim Si-eun immediately used her clone to run to support. The ceiling collapsed on the group of people, but, thanks to Kim Si-eun, she used her body to support herself to save them. Kim Il-young nodded. "A girl with quite good health, stay still like that for a moment, I have to go to the comrade from earlier." Kim Si-eun gritted her teeth, angrily, "North Korean henchman." This statement made Kim Il-young angry. He raised his voice to warn those around you and Korean comrades, if just one person steps out the door, I will kill everyone. There are my comrades waiting outside the building, so don't think about doing anything stupid. In addition, he said, now not even your weak comrades can take away the little goblin girl's arms and leg. Try to think clearly. Kim Si-eun glared and said, on the North Korean henchman, do you think I will wait here forever? Kim Ji-young waved her hand and said, girl, if you have the ability, can you raise that ceiling now? I'll be back for a while, you guys just take good care of each other. Having said that, he jumped onto the concrete ceiling and left. Kim Si-eun tried to fight with her clone. She said with difficulty, I don't know how long I can last. If you don't want to be crushed, you guys should quickly get out of this ceiling. Lee Seung-hwa also hurried over and said, that's right, first keep the people under this ceiling safe. However, the people there were not grateful but also showed evil nature. The bank employee said, if she goes out now, that student will be free to move. The students inside shouted, do you want to see us crushed to death? The argument started to break out. Dong-hoon aggressively stepped forward and said, get away, she wanted to kill us just now. Kim Il-young and Kim Si-eun, you also know what to do to save our lives. Lee Seung-hwa countered, didn't you see Kim Si-eun running to save everyone? Does he look like he would really kill us? If we all broke this ceiling fragment and ran out the door at the same time sometimes, even if there are enemies out there, there is no way to help more people survive than this. Dong-hoon argued, what if I hear a noise and Kim Il-young comes back? While the situation was tense, Sergeant tried to walk forward and said, wait, Kim Si-eun. Hearing the call, Kim Si-eun looked at her and said, a squad leader. On Kim Il-young's side, he had just arrived when he saw Jin-sung's crazy appearance and said, just arrived now, hello. Kim Il-young looked around and asked, are you alone, comrade? The person who caused this tragedy, Jin-sung, nodded calmly, they came in one by one, so I was happy for a long time. Jin-sung continued, if they were at the same time, the battle would have ended right away, so what fun would there be? Kim Il-young smiled, the goblin girl downstairs is enough to surprise me, but this bastard is a monster that surprises me even more. Jin-sung smiled savagely and gently stroked the knife. Kim Il-young continued, you seem to enjoy killing people, you bastard, do you want to come work under Kim Il-young? If you join the army of great disasters, I will let you do as you please, do whatever you want. Jin-sung held his chin, looking thoughtful. Jin-sung smiled coldly and replied, that's good, but you will definitely like this move more. Jin-sung was as fast as lightning, rushing towards Kim Il-young, continuously attacking and spinning around him. Kim Il-young did not stand still, drew his sword and responded fiercely, it turns out you guys want to be like insects, so I won't show mercy. He began to attack vigorously, determined to defeat Jin-sung. Jin-sung became even more excited, making Kim Il-young confused. He gradually moved into the range of the great sword. Kim Il-young focused on observing Jin-sung's direction, telling himself that he would see the opponent's loophole. As soon as Jin-sung approached, Kim Il-young immediately slashed down and shouted, stop for a moment. But very quickly, Jin-sung appeared on the other side. Kim Il-young gritted his teeth and thought to himself, has your intention been discovered? Kim Il-young, nicknamed 1,000-pound swordsman, felt frustrated and started slashing around wildly. The system screen appeared. This is a great sword chosen from thousands of weapons, made from super materials. This spinning move is absolutely unstoppable. After a while, Kim Il-young determined the angle of attack. Jin-sung also turned to confront him directly. When he was about to approach, Jin-sung suddenly said, wow, this guy also knows how to plan. Jin-sung's words made Kim Il-young confused. He stared with suspicion. Jin-sung jumped into the air to avoid Kim Il-young's attack. Jin-sung asked, why is your name Adia so long? Jin-sung asked, that's interesting, how did you do it, how did it get so long? Kim Il-young still hasn't recovered from his shock when Jin-sung avoided his attack. He looked worried and scolded, "That bastard." Kim Il-young wondered, "Can you see my name Adia?" Jin-sung replied, why do you have so many quotation marks? What's with the enhanced coercion rate? How do you do it?" Kim Il-young regretted not being able to kill Jin-sung. He turned to ask, "What is your name?" Jin-sung said warmly, "I'm Park Jin-sung." Kim Il-young smiled and replied, "Okay, Jin-sung, you have good eyes. How can you look at my idea like that? You have real strength, if you want to join the Great Disaster Army." Jin-sung did not pay attention to his suggestion and continued to say, "You seem to be the strongest person I have ever faced." Kim Il-young was confused and asked, "What are you saying suddenly? Do you want to become a member of the Great Disaster Army?" Jin-sung still didn't answer him but continued, "I only see 9. Kim Il-young asked curiously, "What do you mean you saw?" Jin-sung replied, "Weaknesses that I can exploit to kill you." Kim Il-young stroked his face and said, "Do you even see that? That really makes people crave it." Jin-sung smiled, "But it's a bit redundant, because just one weak point is enough to kill me." Kim Il-young refused to be weak and responded, "Do you refuse to cooperate? What a pity, I will make you half alive and half dead, then take you to the commander-in-chief, at least get your special eyes, this special." As soon as they finished speaking, the two rushed at each other, their aura shaking the room. In the highest room of the building, Byun Gi-young leisurely sat and swayed. "Okay, the elevator door is broken so it will take them quite a while to get up here. The trash guy can buy a little more time. After all, I'm in the middle of the city. If I tell the police or army about the current situation, they will definitely come. If I get out too early, I'll be a target. Maybe I should hide a little longer." While Gi-young was still complacent with his plan, the battle below the building was extremely intense. Jin-sung launched a fierce attack, each of his attacks aimed at Kim Il-young, causing the room to shake. Kim Il-young slashed the great sword powerfully with the intention of cutting off Jin-sung's teleportation route, but Jin-sung skillfully dodged and immediately counterattacked, making the battle even more fierce. Jin-sung easily avoided the attack, jumping into the air to Kim Il-young's surprise. He continued to attack from above, creating powerful and precise slashes. He smiled happily, feeling the satisfaction of seeing that he was gaining the upper hand in the fight. He continued to attack, maintaining dominance over his opponent. This attitude obviously made the other person angry. Kim Il-young, already losing patience, roared, "Coward, just avoiding like a squirrel and refusing to fight." He immediately increased his attack power, determined to end the war quickly. When Kim Il-young's voice had not yet finished, Jin-sung suddenly rushed closer. He held a small knife and pointed it straight at his face, creating a tense and unexpected situation. Kim Il-young noticed the killing intent from the small knife and immediately stopped, not having time to take any action. He could only stand still, facing imminent danger. Kim Il-young reacted quickly. His survival instinct helped him promptly move away from the attack. Jin-sung's slash passed by and landed on Kim Il-young's shoulder. Jin-sung did not give the opponent a chance to recover. He quickly rushed in, swinging the knife at terrifying speed, aiming straight at Kim Il-young's weak point. Kim Il-young was slashed again, blood spurted out, causing him pain, but he still tried and refused to give up. Kim Il-young both endured the pain in his body and felt anger in his heart. He thought, "So from the beginning until now, it's just been toying with me. Does it treat me like a toy?" Jin-sung spoke sarcastically, "Old man, do you keep trying to block like a loser? Just end it." Kim Il-young suddenly smiled, "If I keep saving it, I'll probably die." Having said that, a strange source of energy suddenly appeared around him. Jin-sung realized the situation was not good. He immediately stepped back to stay away from the increasing energy from Kim Il-young. Jin-sung asked with surprise, What is that, old man? How could you do that? How could you?" Kim Il-young uses 2 idea. One is a great sword taken from the Tiger Cave of Beckhausen, idea rank A+, with comprehensive combat ability S, power enhancement rate 67%. The second idea is the left arm of the first beast. Idea's rank is unknown, and his comprehensive combat ability is unknown. Kim Il-young proudly said, "There are 2 ideas, now avoiding them won't work anymore." Contrary to his thoughts, Jin-sung was even more interested. "Old man, what is that arm?" Kim Il-young replied, "Why are you so curious? I came here to avoid the bombers, but what did I see? Maybe I will go to hell first." Jin-sung nodded, "So the old man got stronger because he took that hand out. Then it will be fun, let's play." Kim Il-young shouted, "Stop joking around. If you keep fighting like that, I won't be able to die when I want." Jin-sung was confused. "Old man, are you running away?" Kim Il-young was upset. "I haven't heard the word escape for a long time." Jin-sung continued, "Old man, do you think you can escape? How are you going to escape?" Kim Il-young shook his head, "I don't know. Why should I run away just because of a brat?" Kim Il-young shouted loudly, "Park Jin-sung, I will remember your name clearly." Having said that, He focused all his strength on a decisive attack, aiming to finish Jin-sung off. The whole room shook violently. The power of Kim Il-young's sword caused the roof of the building to break, creating a large space outside. From within the dust and smoke, energy is hovering around. A series of upper floors were punctured, revealing a large space with light and dust emanating from the cracks. This chaotic scene caused the entire building to shake violently, and the chaos continued to spread. Byun Gi-young from the top floor felt a violent noise. He was horrified, unable to believe that Kim Si-in could create that hole. He wondered if it was Kim Il-young, and decided to run immediately. Kim Il-young, after creating giant holes, suddenly turned and ran away, leaving the battle scene. Jin-sung laughed and said, "Has it turned into a game of hide and seek? Maybe I'll lose track of you, old man." Jin-sung smiled triumphantly, "Then should I level up a bit?" Kim Il-young replied while running, "Stop joking, with this distance, we will never." But his confidence had to stop when he saw Jin-sung right behind him. Jin-sung countered, "But I'm not joking." Kim Il-young panicked, thinking, "He's crazy, I have to save myself." While Kim Il-young was panicking, Byun Gi-young called out, "Kim Il-young." Kim Il-young saw Byun Gi-young and laughed, "Maybe fate hasn't completely abandoned me yet." Kim Il-young jumped into the air. Byun Gi-young was confused, "What's going on down there?" Kim Il-young discovered Jin-sung. Byun Gi-young asked, "Trash, why are you here?" Jin-sung did not answer but excitedly said, "Found another one." He raised his hand to finish him off. However, suddenly Jin-sung's consciousness was pulled back. Thanks to that, Byun Gi-young also escaped alive. Jin-sung was pushed quite a distance away. He struggled, trying to stand up, still clutching his weapon. Byun Gi-young immediately ran over and asked, "Trash, why did you crawl up from down there?" Before waiting for Jin-sung to answer, Kim Il-young leaned down and said, "Do you know Jin-sung's name? You saved me." Byun Gi-young scolded Kim Il-young, "Aren't you fighting Kim Si-in down there?" Byun Gi-young asked, "What's going on? Rubbish, answer me." Although Byun Gi-young tried to appear calm on the outside, inside he was scared. Did Kim Si-in exhaust Kim Il-young to that extent? This trash is impossible. Byun Gi-young feels this is not reasonable at all. Based on Kim Il-young's words, he couldn't explain how Kim Si-in could make Kim Il-young so exhausted. Byun Gi-young thought of something. He turned to urge, "Hey, Trash, tell me the current situation." Jin-sung sat up, giggling. His laugh made Byun Gi-young feel scared. "What's wrong with this monkey?" Kim Il-young bent down and added, "Hey, comrade, thank you, thanks to you, I got rid of that bastard." Byun Gi-young was frightened, not understanding what was happening. He asked again, What did you say?" Park Jin-sung was completely out of control at this point. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Kim Il-young above continued, "Hey, arrogant comrade, Kim Il-young never forgets gratitude. Even though that person may not know that he will be returned the favor, Kim Il-young is still determined not to forget the favor." His words made Byun Gi-young confused. This guy continued, "Let me give you some advice. If you want to live, run quickly to the first floor, at least you will survive, comrade." Byun Gi-young of course didn't understand anything. He stood there bewildered with a puzzled expression. He argued, "Do you think I will go down? Your subordinates are still down there." Kim Il-young replied, "Very well, then I hope you survive, comrade." In his heart, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately he listened to the commander and went to South Korea. Kim Il-young continued, "That goblin daughter and that bomber surnamed Lee, did you guys raise this thing?" Kim Il-young continued, "The commander probably wouldn't have imagined there was a vile, bloodthirsty psychopath like him." Looking at the back of Kim Il-young leaving, Byun Gi-young was bewildered. He really ran away. Why did Kim Il-young run away because of that useless, trashy name? That doesn't make any sense. This bastard is just F-rank trash. But the person he called trash now smiled and said, "Captain, hello." Jin-sung said, "Because of you, he was able to run away, then you will play with me instead of him, right?" Byun Gi-young backed away confused. He thought to himself, his eyes looked terrible, "This bastard is too dangerous." This guy looked around then grabbed the concrete bar and exclaimed, "Seriously, what else is this?" Then, he borrowed strength from the concrete bar and jumped down, worried about what was happening below. Byun Gi-young thought to herself, "The only thing I know is that trash's mind is very unstable. If there are 36 plans, running is the best policy."